Let's cover some of the basic Boolean operations in FreeCAD. So I've got this lure named Popper here, and I need to put, or I would like to put, an eye socket on it. And so I've created an eye socket, and that's what it looks like right there, except that it's poking out. And what I actually want is to cut a hole in this lure with this eye socket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first select over here in the model view the popper, and then I'm going to use my control key and select the eye. Then I'm going to come up here and find these Boolean operations, and I want this one. It's called cut. And when I perform that cut, I have removed this part out of this eye, and I have this new object called cut. And of course, I could name it anything I wanted, but we've got our eye socket, and that gives me a place to glue some 3D stick-on eyes, before I paint this, before or after I paint this lure, generally after. So that's all fine and good, but I only have the eye on one side of the lure. So let's fix that by using a mirror function. I'm going to take this eye, I'm going to just go ahead and highlight it. I can put the space bar and show it visible, but I don't have to perform my operation. I'm going to select it. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use the mirror option. Now, because the way I build my lures, I happen to know that I need to mirror this across the YZ plane. If I say OK, I will get another eye over here, or a mirror of that copy. And that just means that if I make any changes to this eye, this mirror will update as well. So I want to cut this out as well and give my popper an eye socket on both sides. So now I can take my cut, select it, control select my mirror, and hit the cut again. And now I have an eye on both sides of my poppers. There's a different way we can go about this though, because if I expand this cut, I have this last cut which took this eye out, and then I have this first cut which took this eye out. Let's go ahead and fix this, and we're going to quote unquote fix this complication to make our model simpler in a couple of different ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to back out both of these cuts by clicking on them and deleting, and that will leave the base object. I'm also going to leave this mirror. So there's my mirror and there's my eye. And what I want to do now is I want to fuse these two things together. So if I select both of them, and then I come up here and use the union operation, it's called union up here, but it's going to create an object here called fusion. Okay? And of course I can still expand this and see what was underneath it. But now I can take this single fusion, I can select the popper first, and then select the fusion to cut it out of the popper. And that's one way of doing it. Now I have one cut, and this shows what it is. But there's another way to do this. And I want to show you another way to do this and use the parametric capabilities of FreeCAD, because we will be using this particular method in much of our lure building. So again, I'm going to back out the cut. I'm going to back out the fusion. I'm going to back out the mirror and start where we did at the beginning of this video, right? Let's go ahead and take the popper and take the eye and make my cut. Now I want to put that other eye over there. So once again, I'm going to expand my cut. I'm going to highlight the eye. I'm going to mirror it on the YZ plane. But this time, I am going to fuse these two parts together. And the reason why I need to fuse these two parts together, by the way, is because this mirror is only the half that's mirrored. So I'm going to fuse these two parts together with the union operation, and I'll just rename this both eyes. And then I'm going to use the parametric capability of FreeCAD to change my cut. So up here I have this cut, and if I click on it and I go to the data tab here, you can see the base is the popper and the tool, or the object that was cut out of it, is the eye. If I click on this and click the three dots at the end, I can change it to both eyes. And when I do that, it may need to refresh. There we go, it refreshed, and now both eyes are cut out of this popper. Another thing we might want to do is we might want to add something to this popper. So let's just create a real simple dummy tail. Let's create let's say a cone. And let's move this cone using the transform. And I'm going to use these dots to rotate it. And I'm going to basically make a tail. I'm going to scroll in and out and get it right where I want it. And make a tail for my object here. And I'm not worried about it being perfectly centered for this demo. And let's bring it in just a little tiny bit. Say OK. And now if I wanted to print this object or do a cut of this complex object, I could take the cut, I could take the cone, and I could fuse them together. That's no different than what we did with the mirror. Okay? I could, of course, create another cut. For example, I could split this lure in half with a cube by putting a cube down and going to the data and going to, is it the, oh, I don't have my cube selected, cube, then I come to data. And now let's make my length, say 90 millimeters long. Oh, that's going in the wrong dimension. So let's go ahead and leave that at 10 and try the width. There we go. Let's make the height 20. Now, it's not quite long enough, so I'll make it just a little bit longer. And if I take the fusion first, the cube second, and hit the cut operation, we now have half of a lure. It's not exactly half because I didn't place it perfectly. That's essentially the Boolean operations. And the Boolean operations is the reason why I predominantly use the part workbench to create lures. Thanks for watching.